Hey guys, Cody coming to you here from Orlando at yet another hotel room. This one not as dimly lit, so there's that to be thankful for. But I'll try not to keep bringing these to you from hotels. It just seems to be when I have the most time. Anyways, today I want to quickly talk about a little bit more. I wanted to give you a more rich context to the actual problem that we're dealing with. The problem that was the impetus for me looking and creating Fat Loss 2.0, which, if you don't recall, is the new program that we're rolling out in the gym. It's still kind of being formulated, still being ironed out, but we're on the path towards really getting it implemented. Anyways, I just wanted to take some time to give you a little bit more about the context. Like I said, give you some detail as far as what the problem really is. Last time I described my problem and the problem I've had, some of my solution, and how I'm going to bring that to the gym. Now I'd like to talk about the problem in general. And one of the main problems is this issue of what I call 17, 10, and 1. So 17, 10, and 1. 17% of Americans will lose 10% of their body weight and keep it off a year later. Maybe I should rephrase that. Only 17% of Americans will lose 10% of their body weight and keep it off a year later. So that's the 17, 10, and 1, which means there's 83% of people who will lose that 10% and gain it back, or more than 10% and gain it back. So that's a pretty low statistic, and that like I said, that speaks to me as failure. I don't consider a diet working if it doesn't help you maintain results for at least 1 year, because 1 year really is that tipping point. 1 year is that tipping point behind keeping those pounds off forever, or kind of going up and down, because a lot can happen that year. And on average, and this is yet another reason for why we're looking at doing the TDC right before the holiday season. On average, people they lose and they gain weight throughout the year, but like I said, they lose and gain about the same amount. What tends to happen is the weight gain during the holiday season, which can be anywhere between 10 to 15 pounds, not all of that is lost come New Year's. And that ends up leaving you with a net gain of anywhere between 2 to 3 pounds. And over the course of 10 years, that becomes 20 to 30 pounds. So a lot of research is looking at the holiday season as the primary reason why people are gaining weight and continuing to gain weight year over year. That throughout the year, for the most part, people generally stay the same weight. They'll course adjust. So that's one of the reasons why we're looking at doing the TDC next month as a way to kind of start that. But it's also another reason why I don't consider a diet to have worked well if it doesn't help you maintain results for at least a year. So that's one of the problems we're butting up against, and one of the reasons we're looking at Fat Loss 2.0. So that's the first problem. The second problem, or another problem, is that a third of, quote, normal dieting will usually progress to some sort of pathological dieting. And this means that you may go from just a normal diet to where you're starting to chew and spit your food back out. The way you're perceiving food is very restraint-oriented, meaning you're constantly feeling like you have to watch what you're eating. And then of that third of people doing normal dieting who progress to pathological dieting, a whole 33%, a fourth of that third, so 1/4 or 25% of that third, will end up developing a full or partial eating disorder. Now, you probably know somebody with an eating disorder, and maybe you just don't know about it, but the statistics are in favor of the fact that you do know somebody with an eating disorder, and you might even be thinking of somebody right now, if not some instances in your past where you either had pathological dieting or possibly a partial eating disorder. Third fact that we need to be aware of, a third problem, is that 91% of women are unhappy with their body. When surveyed, 91 of women endorse being unhappy with their body and will look to dieting as a way to fix that. It's an insanely high percentage. Of that 91%, or of women in general, not to isolate the men, but most of this research is being done with women, only 5% of the population have the body type, or the genetic potential to achieve the body type displayed in normal media. So the same body type that you see plastered all over the place, only 5% of the female population even has the genetic potential to reach that body type, which is where 91% of women are unhappy with their body and only 5% have this potential. And by large troves, the majority of media is advertising this body type. I think we're starting to get the idea where the problem is. The last problem I want to talk about is thin inheritance. And this is the idea that your perception of yourself. So however bad you feel about yourself, however bad you feel about your confidence, remember, this is me too. This is what I go through, what I still go through, and I'm still trying to fix all the time. Like I dealt with it last night even. Your perception of yourself and your dieting behaviors, your reaction to your diet, your reaction to how you feel about yourself, the picking at yourself, the judging yourself in the mirror, the words you use to describe yourself, those all carry on down the line. Those don't just stop with you. They end up being passed on to your children, and they end up even getting as far as your grandchildren. And this has been shown that your perception of your body will make it all the way to your grandchildren. So we're starting to see that in this full picture that there's a big problem. A lot of people who try to attempt weight loss fail and regain that weight a year later. A third of normal dieting progresses into pathological dieting, and 25% of that to partial or full eating disorders. And that 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies and resort to dieting to get to a body type that only 5% of the population has. And that this type of mentality is breeding this inheritance where we're passing these how we feel about ourselves, that struggle, that internal struggle to feel good and confident, onto our children onto our grandchildren. And it's something of major concern of mine, and I would believe it's a major concern of anybody who's a really caring and loving parent. Okay, slight technical difficulty there, a little hiccup. What I wanted to say was that this brings full circle this idea of confidence being tied to body composition. So if I were to sit down with somebody for a consultation, one of the things that happens is I'll ask them what their fitness goals are. And they might respond, they want to lose 15 pounds, they want to fit into their clothes better, they want to fit into a bikini they never felt comfortable wearing, something to that effect. And if I ask them why that goal is important to them, they'll usually respond with something that leads them to feel more confident. And I want to let you know there's nothing wrong with this. I feel this way. I struggled with it yesterday. I said, we all feel this way, that changing our body, improving our body is going to make us feel more confident. And what I want to challenge you with, though, is where did you get this idea? Where did you get this idea that it's you changing your body and trying to reach a certain body composition, which we now know is set by an unrealistic ideal broadcasted by the media? But where did we get this expectation, or where did we get this idea that it's by changing our body, the way our body's shaped and the way what it weighs and everything else, that we're going to feel more confident? And what does that do to our sense of confidence for other things? Like, there's a lot of other reasons you should be confident. For being an amazing mother, for having kids in the first place, for the work that you do, for the business that you own, for the people that you help through the charity and the philanthropy that you're involved in. Like, there's a lot of other reasons you should be confident, but somehow it's so strongly tied to how our body is shaped. And it takes away from the value of all the other things that we do. And like I said, it's not your fault. This is based on a cultural norm that we're having a hard time escaping. But there's more reasons to love your body. And that's one of the missions, or one of the mission statements of NPE. Our goal is to give you more reasons to love your body on your journey to a fitter, stronger, more confident version of yourself. And that more reasons, it's not just how your body's shaped, it's what it can do, it's what you've done. So we're tying confidence to the way our body composition is shaped. And I think we can all agree, based on what we've talked about here, that may not be the best thing. There's this idea of have to be versus be to have. So I have to have this body composition in order to be confident. I have to have a body composition of this high standard in order to be confident about myself, versus I need to be confident in order to have the body composition I want. And I know that's flipping the script a little bit, and that's one of the goals, is to talk about that concept a little bit more and how we can achieve that. And that was one of the biggest breakthroughs that I've had. For now, I want you to do two things. The first is I'd like you to comment below and just tell me what you got from this video. Tell me, if you don't feel comfortable put it in the comments, feel free to email me or private message me. Tell me what you got from this video. Tell me if it was helpful to you. Tell me that there was something, if there was something that you could take away from it, or if you just totally hate it and it was absolute rubbish, tell me that too. So that way I know how to critique modify these things going forward. The second thing I want you to do, I want you to catch yourself feeling unhappy about how you look. And I want you to remind yourself, try just one time a day. Try to catch yourself one time a day noticing that you're unhappy with how you look, and remind yourself of other reasons why you should be confident. So notice when you're feeling bad about how you look, obviously you'd notice how that affects you at that point, but then switch around and remind yourself of another reason why you should be confident about who you are. Just do that one time a day. Let's just start there, and let's see what we can build from there. Okay, I'm sure I've wasted enough of your guys' time today. Private message me if you have any comments. Please comment below. All right, guys, I'm out.